Right then, this is a quick walk around video, and this is for an absolute one-off. This is a Honda Accord 2-litre EX automatic. It's a 57 plate. It's covered just 32,000 miles and is in absolutely stunning condition. Fitted with these optional 18-inch alloys. The car is simply amazing. Going around it for you. Front of the car, lights and lenses clear, intact, without any cracks or condensation in them at all. Bumper's really clean. Likewise, bonnet of the car exceptionally clean. Can't see an obvious stone chip on there at all. Near side of the car, I mean, it's just like a mirror, and it's still such a handsome looking car after all these years. It's aged beautifully. Near side front alloy, the one that generally takes all of the bashing, and can hardly see a mark on there at all. Come out this way, it's a shadow from the inside rear alloy. Again, very, very good. It is so clean. So it's very early in the morning. It's going to be a blisteringly hot day, so I'm up early doing this. It's before 6 o'clock. Oh, sorry, just gone 6 o'clock. So apologise for the kind of the shading and everything, but it's better to do it in the shade than it is in the direct sunlight. Offside, driver's side, again, just pristine, absolutely beautiful. Offside rear alloy, again, unmarked. The main panels, just absolutely stunning. And offside front, unmarked. There will be, I'm sure there will be, if you get a microscope out, a mark somewhere on the car. But you're going to have to look very, very hard indeed, because that is probably the best Accord I've ever seen. Coming to the boot area, really big boots, and again, it's like a time warp because the condition is extraordinary. Coming to the back of the car now, full leather interior, and in all honesty, the rear seats look as though they've hardly ever been sat on. They are in stunning condition. Coming to the front and the passenger side, again, wonderfully clean. And passenger seat, again, has just been given hardly any use at all. Finally, driver's side, again, door card, looks pretty much as new. Footwell areas, likewise, absolutely stunningly clean. And driver's seat itself, again, the one that's been sat on, obviously, the most regular basis, again, in fantastic condition. You get slight compression and weathering as you get in and out, which is absolutely normal. But what is abnormal is the condition of this car. Inside the car now, engine's running as always, so the dashboard is illuminated, and it literally looks like it's rolled off the production line. It is in stunning condition. Everything working exactly as it should, but videos can often not really do justice, and this is certainly one of those. I come across the main dash binnacle there. Hopefully you can see 32,012 miles. No warning lights on the dashboard at all, but this is one for the connoisseur, it really is. But then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for, as you'll hopefully know from the walk around video, a truly exceptional car. This is a Honda Accord 2-litre EX automatic. It's registered VK57JVA with a remarkable 32,105 miles recorded. The reason we do these videos, and actually especially this road test section, is to ensure that if anyone is online looking at any of our cars, they get to see the advertised car actually in operation. And the reason we feel it's important is very simple. It's because, like so many people, we've been to see cars which have looked absolutely fine in photographs and description, only to get there and find out when you drive it there's a fundamental issue that shows up. So that's why we do it. Also done on these very quiet country roads very close to our premises in this beautiful part of Gloucestershire, and this actually forms part of the road test route we take our customers on, so hopefully then would be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car, you know, without being a complete spoiler, I think everyone knows what's coming next, because with that mileage, that history, and the ownership attached to the car, you'd expect it to drive well, and it exceeds all expectations. It is a wonderful car. I am also massively biased when it comes to these cars. I think it's one of Honda's very, very finest cars they ever made. But I will try and rein in my enthusiasm to some degree, not entirely. Starting with the heart of the car, the engine, which starts instantly and settles to an absolutely smooth and even idle. There are no warning lights on the car at all relating to the engine or any other part of the vehicle. Could have stayed in there. Sorry, there's a perfectly good little pull in there. Not quite sure why we had to do that, but there we are. But yeah, basically the engine, no warning lights, temperature gauge running as a third, and it is officially the hottest day on record, I think, today, and it's 36 degrees outside, so clearly the cooling system working very, very well on the car. But the engine, what a fantastic engine it is. It's typical of Honda. 4-cylinder engines are their forte. No one builds better 4-cylinder engines. They are incredibly tough and reliable. They last an eternity, but they're just joyous to use as well. It's economical, it pulls well, but when you pull it through the rev range, it pulls with a real vigour to it as well. It really is a gorgeous power plant. It's just so, even by modern standards, it sort of hammers virtually most modern engines, and the way it drives, the docility of it. It's tractable. Wonderful engine. Engine then feeds through into the auto gearbox. Again, incredibly robust and strong. The gear ratio is obviously very cleverly chosen to extract the best out of the engine in terms of performance and economy. It does also have a manual function on the car, and one of the better ones as well, actually. So at any speed, as you're driving along, just pull the gear lever to the right hand side. It'll match your forward speed to the gear that's befitting of it, so you can't damage the engine. So if you can imagine a tractor or something in front, and I wanted to ensure that the car didn't change up, because that's the problem for automatics, they always want to change up, and that can be interesting halfway around an overtaking manoeuvre. But for sake of argument, I'm going to pretend something's in front. I'm currently in 5th gear. I'll drop it down to maybe even 3 gears. 2nd gear, accelerate, up to 3rd, up to 4th, up to 5th, and then back down the gears the other way. It works perfectly, and it's really nicely done. But powertrain in the car, as you'd expect with such low mileage, utterly faultless. So then we come to almost my favourite part of the car. Well, probably is my favourite part of the car, the chassis and the steering. So underrated when they were made, ridiculously so. The usual candidates were given the plaudits by the motoring press. These were kind of overlooked. Now they're kind of come back to them realising, it really was quite an exceptional car. Steering, by the way, tracks bullet straight without any vibrations at all at the speed, or any speed up to legal limit. And the chassis, there's absolutely no rattles, no clonks, nothing. It just feels so tight to drive. It's ridiculous. But even again, as I said, by modern standards, it is, it betters modern cars in so many ways. And this section of road is a classic example of why modern cars find it incredibly hard to ride this sort of road surface, whereas this one just dismisses it to a large degree. So that the ride is beautifully damped, absolutely beautifully damped. But the steering, which is kind of, is proper power steering, it's, oil power steering, it feels it as well. You actually get feel for the steering wheel. It's perfect in terms of its weighting. And because a lot of people don't realise, until you drive them for a long time, you don't really understand how good these are. Lots of modern cars are very one-dimensional. They make you feel when you get into them they're really good, but then you realise actually as speeds change, the steering, which initially felt nice, can feel a bit kind of vague, a bit lifeless, or the worst still, kind of nervous. This, the more you lean on it, the more rewarding it becomes. It is fantastic. The chassis, the balance of the chassis is extraordinary.
you wouldn't experience it unless you're pushing on, but when you do push on, if you are in the mood, if you're that way inclined, you'll see just what an amazing chassis this is. It uses all 4 wheels, it leans them all very naturally, and I went on a track day with Honda years ago, you know, pushing these things to the limit for customers, and only, I always remember, I always say it in these videos, I think it was only the Mondeo at the time, you know, came close to it. Other cars which ordinarily you think were quite good, you know, like Audi A4s and Mercedes and Volvos of the era, and even the 3 Series BMW, on the track it wasn't as good. On the road it's fantastic, so I'm, you know, not dismissing it at all, but this is it's quite exceptional. Just going to give the brakes a bit of a thud. Really good brake pedal on the car, no pulsing, no vibrations, so all in fine order. Finally, coming inside the car, it's not been cleaned yet, and yet it looks virtually factory fresh in it. It is in beautiful condition, and what a lovely place to sit. You've got the sunroof letting lots of natural light in. The build quality is extraordinary. No squeaks, no rattles. The texturing of the plastics is really good. Again, by modern standards, it's better than far better than most, rather. But then you've got a dashboard which is very heavily equipped, but unlike modern cars which are so distracting, this is joyously easy to get in, jump in and drive. You've got a very simple to use sat-nav system, you know, it's not as high-tech as modern ones, clearly, but it works perfectly well. You've got a dual zone climate control system, which, given the fact that it is 35 degrees outside, it is pumping out absolutely ice cold air, so clearly working exactly as it should. Heated seats, I have checked them even though it's baking hot, and they're working fine. What videos don't really tell you is basically when you press a button on one of these Hondas, it's just got that beautiful quality of actuation to them. It's just really, really nicely done. So I managed to turn the air conditioning up. Didn't want to do that, but it's brilliantly done. Dashboard in front, again, simplistic. It's just easy to, you look at the dashboard, you're taking the information, and that's it. It's not overdone. It's beautifully detailed, and then this lovely leather-rimmed steering wheel. Again, modern car designers, and Honda are just as guilty as others, they put these big fat steering wheels in, you know, big thick rimmed ones, which feel great to hold, but they're not actually that good for, in my opinion, if you're pushing on with the car. There's an intimacy with these steering wheels where you drive with your fingertips, you turn in, you look at the world's greatest drivers of all time, Senna from the past, really sort of small, thin rimmed steering wheels, so they could feel what was going on. And, you know, this is just perfect. It really is. As I said, you know, I've struggled to contain my enthusiasm for the car, because it is an absolute one-off. We make no apologies for the price of the car. It's not overpriced, far from it. It reflects the age, so the mileage, the condition and the history of the vehicle, and will appeal to those who are looking for something a little bit different, something a little bit special, something that's been loved. Those looking for price above all others. I'm sure there'll be others out there which are perfectly good cars, but they're certainly not going to be this. But it drives faultlessly, cannot fault it at all, and I simply love it.